A very good day to Dr. Shamila. My name is Alessandra Nasharina and I am pleased to present my individual assignment 1 for the SQE7015 Research Methodology course, which is on my new research topic titled Role of English Literature as a Medium to Spread Sustainability Awareness Among Malaysian Youth. As reported by Jivita 2024 in the Star newspaper, English literature and reading is well promoted in schools as it aligns with the latest Malaysian Ministry of Education's English Language Education Enhancement Plan. It has been used to make learning the language more humane, meaningful, and engaging. Recently, there had been a trend among Malaysian youth where they had used social media and trends such as the hashtag BookTalk on TikTok to promote reading literary works by posting about the books that they have read and visiting libraries, bookstores, trendy book cafes, and book fairs. There are many works of English literature, both classical and contemporary, that engage deeply with environmental, social, and economic sustainability issues and are relevant for the awareness of sustainable development goals. However, the extent to which Malaysian youths are aware of these messages in the literature that they read, or even seek them out intentionally, remains largely unexplored, especially by quantitative approach. The effectiveness of some literary works such as dystopian, lit pastoral, indigenous, and eco-poetry have been qualitatively reviewed by authors like Malteres et al. 2021 and Chauhan 2024 as effective tools in addressing sustainability issues, but there are yet any quantitative approach done on this subject. Therefore, my research study aims to examine the relationship between exposure to English literature, preferred literary form and genre, and the level of sustainability awareness among Malaysian youth. There are three sets of hypotheses used to help achieve that research objective. There are three relevant quantitative papers that I have reviewed, and the first one is by Norkaidi et al. 2021 titled Environmentally Literate Citizenry Among Malaysian Youth to Produce Responsible Environmental Behavior. The study uses an independent variable, which is the environmental knowledge of Malaysian youth, especially on the four natural spheres, namely atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere, and a dependent variable, which is responsible environmental behavior. The study aims to see if there's a significant relationship between those two variables with youth across different age groups and regions in Malaysia. The sampling method that has been employed involved 1,000 Malaysian youth aged 20 to 39 and was selected through stratified sampling method by age, gender, and region. Therefore, it is a cross-sectional survey where the survey's instrument is a closed-ended multiple-choice and Likert scale questions. The data analysis that we carried out were descriptive statistics of mean scores and standard deviation on environmental literacy and responsible environmental practices, with Cronbach's alpha being employed as well to ensure data consistency, where the alpha value must be more than 0.7. The relationship between environmental literacy and responsible practices were analyzed using Pearson's correlation. On the other hand, the theoretical framework that we use to discuss the results is the theory of environmentally responsible behavior (ERB), where knowledge controls a person's attitudes and intent to act. So, the results showed that Malaysian youth are highly literate on the four natural spheres, such as biosphere, which has a mean value of 4.269, and also literate on eco-friendly behaviors. However, there is a weak positive correlation of only 0.275 Pearson's correlation value R, um, but because that don't often translate to real life practices, meaning Malaysian youth, they know about responsible practices, but it doesn't mean that they will practice it as well in real life. So for Pearson's correlation, the R value has to be more than 0.3 in order for it to be considered moderately weak. However, the weak correlation is still statistically significant, with the p-value being less than 0.05. As mentioned before, the mean level of environmental literacy for all natural spheres among Malaysian youth is high. as well as their knowledge on eco-friendly behavior like 3R, green purchases, minimizing wastage of resources, and choosing green modes of travels. However, the low Pearson's correlation values indicate that the literacy don't always translate to practical application, as we can see here. The study's results align with the theory of environmentally responsible behavior, where knowledge and awareness influence responsible environmental behavior. Despite the weak correlation, especially in real life practices, it is still statistically significant that the theory is accurate and that knowledge and literacy is important in sustainable decision making. In conclusion, the study proves that environmental literacy contributes to responsible environmental behavior among Malaysian youth and should be further cultivated to ensure economical and societal sustainability as well. This suggests that increased awareness, whether gained through literacy or educational exposure, can certainly influence sustainability consciousness. Next, the second paper that I've reviewed is by Rasia et al. 2022 titled The Sociology of Reading Among Malaysian Youths, Building a Culture of Reading to Enhance Environmental Awareness and Develop Pro-Environmental Behavior. The study assessed the influences, namely aptitude, parental involvement, and stress, on the reading habits of Malaysian youth and how reading habits can contribute to environmental behaviors and awareness and also pro-environmental behavior. The methodology started with sampling of 195 Malaysian youth aged 15 to 24 and was selected by the authors by purposive sampling method. A cross-sectional survey was employed with close-ended multiple-choice question and Likert scale questions. The authors have used the variance-based partial least squares structural equation modeling to statistically analyze the relationship between the influences and the reading habits and the reading habits with pro-environmental behavior. The theoretical framework that we used to discuss the results were Dewey's education theory of constructivism and the social cognitive theory. The results showed that youth's attitude and parental influence affect their reading habits but not stress because it showed an unsupported t-statistic value during the post hoc test, which tests the validity of the hypothesis on the relationship between stress and reading habits. Not only that, the relationship between good reading habits and pro-environmental behavior are statistically supported, meaning reading has a positive influence on eco-friendly behaviors. Here we can see that all the hypotheses were statistically supported except for the hypothesis on the relationship between perceived stress and reading habits. Therefore, the findings emphasize that the importance of fostering positive reading attitudes and parental support to help our youth achieve a reading behavior that is critical in giving awareness on the environmental and sustainability, as well as a sense of responsibility towards the well-being of their surroundings. This relates back with Dewey's education theory of constructivism, where youth can effectively learn from meaningful experiences such as in reading, which can be posited by their own attitudes towards reading and positive encouragement from their parents. As for the social cognitive theory, youths adapt to good reading habits and pro-environmental behavior by learning from those in their surrounding, such as their parents. In conclusion, developing good reading habits in youth not only benefits them academically and personally, but it also gives them awareness, including in issues of sustainability. The study demonstrates that gaining knowledge from reading can instill pro-environmental behavior, thereby validating that literary engagement, particularly with sustainability teamworks, can shape awareness. Finally, the third paper that I have reviewed is by Samdi et al. 2024, titled Youth Awareness of Sustainable Development, the Mediating Effect of Place Attachment in Selangor, Malaysia. The study stresses that despite numerous efforts to build youth's awareness on sustainable development, their awareness still remains inadequate. Therefore, they aim to examine the relationship between knowledge, attitude, and social influence on the awareness choosing which factor is the most influential by the results, and finally, the extent of how place attachment influences these factors that lead to their awareness on sustainable development. The sampling involved 384 youth living in Selangor aged 18 to 30 and was selected through convenient sampling method. A cross-sectional survey was carried out with close-ended multiple choice and Likert scale bilingual questions. Pearson's correlation was used to show that the relationship between the knowledge, aptitude, and social influence do influence the youth's awareness on sustainable development. Multiple regression confirmed that these factors were statistically significant, influencing the dependent variable, which is the awareness. While Barron and Kenny's mediation analysis is a form of regression that showed that place attachment had indirect significance to the effectiveness of these three factors, which are the knowledge, attitude, and social influence. On the awareness, where it is significant for not having zero value or the confidence interval, yet indirect because of the coefficient, which is the mediator value B. The theoretical framework used for this study are the KAP model and the social influence theory. As said before, the results showed that all three factors have showed significant relationship to give youth awareness of sustainable development, with knowledge being the most influential, while place attachment partially mediated all three relationships. The table showed the statistical significance of these three factors, with knowledge being the most influential, followed by aptitude and social influence. There are also no problematic multicollinearity in this data because the value of tolerance are more than 0.1 and the variance inflation factor VIF are less than 10. Okay, so these tables show that both the effects of knowledge and aptitude with place attachment as the mediator has partial mediation, and the same goes to social influence. So what we can find from the findings is that the findings show that informed positive attitudes and supportive social environments would enhance youth awareness of sustainability. And emotional connection to place strengthens these effects, therefore suggesting that deeper community-rooted educational approaches is important. This aligns with the KAP model on the effects of these factors on one's awareness of something, and also the social influence theory, where one's beliefs, attitudes, and practices are influenced by the society where they are from. In conclusion, KAP and also place attachment collectively drive broad environmental and sustainability awareness and action in youth. The study reinforces the value of non-traditional influences such as social and emotional connections to raise awareness, and such influences can be explored further through the lens of a literary work that the youth may be exposed to as well. The conclusion that can be drawn from the three papers in my research topic is that youth engagement with reading, whether shaped by environmental literacy, reading habits, and social influence, or instilled knowledge and attachment to a certain place, can play a crucial role in cultivating environmental sustainability awareness and be further explored to include economical and social sustainability as well. However, there remains a significant gap in understanding how English literature themselves can contribute to this awareness. This study therefore aims to bridge the gap by quantitatively examining the relationship between literary exposure, form and genre preference, and level of sustainability awareness among Malaysian youth, while using knowledge from previous qualitative studies to guide this research. This research desires to highlight English literature as a potential catalyst for Malaysian and global initiatives in education for sustainable development, ESD. Therefore, this is the end of my presentation. I would like to say thank you for attentively listening to my presentation.